Hello, everybody. Welcome to RYGR Sports. My name is Logan,
And I'm Yash.
and on today's episode, we are going to be going over the two conference championship games that we have next weekend. Now, it was a pretty crazy divisional round. We had two outstanding games, and we had two games that weren't so outstanding. But we have the Patriots taking on the Broncos in Denver on the 25th, which I believe is Saturday,
No, it's Sunday. They're both on Sunday.
Sunday at 3, and we
Yeah.
have the Rams going to Seattle to take on the Seahawks at 6:30 right after this game.
Mhm.
So, when you look at the Patriots and the Broncos, both of these teams are 14 and 3. They've both had outstanding seasons, really meeting their ceiling, like what we thought at the beginning of the season. We didn't think the Patriots would get this far, and we also didn't think that the Broncos would get this far. Now, I had the Patriots getting eliminated in the first round of the Chargers, and they've made it to the championship game, so they've exceeded my expectations. And I also had the Broncos losing to the Bills last round, so they have impressed me as well. They barely squeaked past Josh Allen and the Bills last week in an insane game. I thought there was a pass interference call that shouldn't have been called that really changed the game. I don't agree with that call at all. I think Buffalo really was on the wrong side of some calls. But regardless of the referees that game, the Broncos came to play, especially on offense. Now, losing Bo Nix on in the fourth quarter in that game, or it might have been overtime, is an extremely tough situation for the Broncos. Now, Jarrett Stidham is the backup quarterback in Denver, and he's only had 3 career starts. And you're throwing him in this game, conference championship, biggest game of his life, and I just don't know if he has what it takes to get this game done. Now, the Broncos are a great team, so if they can do their job on defense and make some plays, create some turnovers, and Jarrett Stidham can do enough to get the Broncos to win, I would not be surprised. They have the Patriots as 5.5 point favorites in this game, and a minus 258 money line. So odds makers really confident that the Patriots go get this done. Now, if Bo Nix was playing this game, I think that line would be closer to 50-50, or the Broncos might even be a favorite in this game. But throwing Jarrett Stidham in this game is just not going to go well, I think, for the Broncos. I mean, if he somehow puts up 21 points or 24 points, that might be enough to squeak by the Patriots. However, I just don't think that that's going to happen. I think the Patriots have a outstanding defense, and going up against a backup quarterback like this is just a dream situation for New England. They've got that is a very fortunate situation for New England that they get this matchup against Jarrett Stidham, because I think Bo Nix would definitely give them a great game, really challenging game. Both of these defenses are absolutely outstanding. The Broncos have one of the best players, one of the two best players, defensive players in the NFL, and Nick Bonito and Pat Surtain. And the Patriots also have had a extremely good defense this year. Both these, I think Patriots caused like 5 turnovers last week against the Texans. So, on paper, it's a game that is more defensive oriented than offensive oriented, especially now with Jarrett Stidham at quarterback for the Broncos. I don't think they can put up more than 17 points in this game. I don't see Jarrett Stidham winning this game against the Patriots. I think the Patriots are too good of a team to let this guy beat them. So if Drake May can avoid some turnovers and some interceptions, I think the Patriots cruise to a win in this one. But going to Denver and playing at their field is always a challenge for opponents in the altitude. So, for my final score of this game, I think the Broncos have a good enough defense to keep this game one possession. I am going to go with a final of 24-10 New England. I think their defense, contains Jarrett Stidham, and I think he throws a few interceptions in this game. And just tough spot for the Broncos. Losing Bo Nix, I believe it's a broken ankle. That is just brutal, for gut wrenching for Broncos fans. That is just. If I was a Broncos fan and my quarterback got hurt before the biggest game of the season, I would just be completely devastated. But I'm hoping that this game isn't a snooze fest like that Pittsburgh game the other week. Um, I would be happy to see the Patriots in the Super Bowl. I think watching a kid like Drake May lead his team to a conference championship is very special, and if he can lead them to a Super Bowl, that would be even more special. So I am going to take New England in this game only because Bo Nix is out. I think if Bo Nix plays this game, I think the Broncos squeak out to a win. But that injury is just gonna basically cost the Broncos their season. So I'm gonna take New England in this game. Give me the Patriots 24-10.
All right. Obviously, I'm pretty happy. I did not expect my Patriots to be here this far, even though I did believe them week to week. But I didn't really see them making it this far at the beginning of the season. I'm really surprised. Obviously, last week Drake May, didn't play too well, at least at least when it came to like holding onto the ball. But he was able to put up some points. Obviously, the Broncos' offense is going to be not much better without Bo Nix. The Patriots have, in my opinion, I think they have basically a free run to the Super Bowl, right? Now, I do think the Broncos' defense, like you said, Logan, are going to be able to keep it fairly competitive, at least for the first half. I do think the Patriots squeak out, or not squeak out, sorry, like they do win by a decent margin. I'm going to go double digits. My personal final score is 27-13, but I do think if the Patriots do want to, prove a point that, they deserve to be here, they're offensively, they got to put up, in the 30s or maybe even the 40s, because our offense, especially in the playoffs, has been pretty, mediocre, right? We've had some plays, obviously, the defense is doing most of the work. Christian Gonzalez this season has been unbelievable, right? Our secondary, our everything. Needless to say, the Patriots front four is probably, in my opinion, probably third or fourth in the NFL. And they play as a really good team. But, I think one thing that the Broncos do have going for them is momentum, right? They're playing at home. They have, obviously, a really passionate fan base. And, it's never, ever easy. No matter how bad the Broncos are, it's never easy to go play a game in Mile High Stadium, right? It makes a huge difference on your body. I mean, you're not used to the altitude. I mean, that impacts your throwing, your running, everything. So, I do think Jarrett Stidham is going to play a little bit better than what people are expecting him, just because the Patriots aren't really going to have enough film on him to kind of see what kind of his play style is, and that can really make a big difference. Because just a couple years ago, we saw, it's been 8 years now, but we saw Nick Foles make his legacy Super Bowl run, right? I'm not saying Jarrett Stidham's Nick Foles. I'm definitely not saying that. But, anything's a possibility. This is the NFL. I mean, all they have to do is win one game and they're in the Super Bowl, right? So, I do think if the Patriots defense can hold them under 20 points, which I do think they're going to, I do think the Patriots have a good chance of winning. But if the Patriots really want to make a statement here, they got to go win this game by 20 or 30, right? Because they're the better team on paper. Well, especially with their quarterback, they're definitely the better team on paper. Offensively, they're pretty, I'd say, neck and neck when it comes to defense. I do think the Patriots have a better pass rush. Meanwhile, the Broncos have a better secondary. But it's close. I think one thing we have to keep an eye on is Will Campbell. Last week, he was getting lit up. Now, obviously, playing the Texans defense is not something easy, right? It's not an easy task. But, he was losing one-on-one matchups here. This is the third or fourth overall pick. Like, I understand he's a rookie, but the Broncos are going to eat you alive if you're going to keep playing like that. I do think he does play better this week. He's obviously coming off a pretty, I guess, long-term injury. He was out for, I think 4 or 5 weeks in the season. But, yeah, that's all I really have to say. Go Patriots.
Yeah, I think the Patriots do need to make a statement in this game. Because, if they, squeak by this Broncos team, everyone's going to call them overrated. Everyone's going to say free Super Bowl. And, they're not going to get the credit they deserve for, making a Super Bowl. So I just want to go over Jarrett Stidham's career numbers. He's played in 20 games in his NFL career. He began his career with the Patriots in 2019. Yep. And he has career numbers of a 59% completion rating, which is not good, 8 touchdowns and 8 interceptions with 1,400 yards. So, on paper, looking at this guy's numbers, they're just not good. So, I don't have much confidence in him to go beat this Patriots team, especially against that defense. If the Patriots had a little bit of a lighter defense, then maybe you give him a shot. Considering that Nick Foles did it in 2018, but I don't think this guy's any good, and I think the Patriots win 24-10.
I mean,
Now,
if one thing, if Jarrett Stidham is able to prove us wrong, I mean, I think that would be probably one of the craziest things. I think that would be the craziest thing that happened this
I agree.
NFL season. After everything that's went down, the Chiefs going 6-11, I mean, the Jets are always ass, right?
Yep.
Who else really? 49ers, even with all their injuries, making it that far. I think Jarrett Stidham winning a Super Bowl for Denver would be one of the craziest NFL moments that I've ever experienced.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
So moving on to our next game, we have the Rams going to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Now, I'm so excited for this game. I think this game is going to be easily the best game we have seen this NFL season. I think both of these teams are absolutely outstanding. And, they proved that they can put on a show a few weeks ago in that crazy overtime game. The Rams were winning by double digits the whole game, and then here comes Seattle in the second half, and they send the game to overtime and ultimately win it, which was that was definitely the best game of the NFL season so far. The Rams even challenged that game last week. That was an insane game as well. So I'm expecting fireworks here. I'm expecting big plays, big turnovers. I think this game is absolutely outstanding on paper. And I think this is what a lot of people wanted to see in the NFC Championship game. This is the third time that these two teams have played each other this season, and both of these rosters are absolutely outstanding. Now, the Seahawks did beat them in overtime 38-37 back in Week 16. You have Matt Stafford throwing for 457 yards in that game. Absolute cinema. And then the Rams beat the Seahawks 21-19 back in Week 11. So they've split the season series 1-1. I think this playoff game on paper is easily going to be the best game of the NFL playoffs this year. And we've had some insane games so far. So, looking at the betting odds for this game, they have the Seahawks by 1.5. So it's basically a 50-50 pick 'em, right? The odds makers see both of these teams scoring a lot of points. They have the line at 47.5, which is a very high number. And that line has moved down to -2.5 for Seattle, so they are a slight favorite at home, which I think they should be. They've shown nothing but dominance in the NFL this year, and there's absolutely no way the Rams should come into this game as favorites. When you look at what the Seahawks did last week against the 49ers, I mean, oh my God, I had this game 27-20 in favor of Seattle, but they won 41-6, and I'd like to give a lot of credit to Ryan on our last show, who called Raheed Shaheed as an X factor, and he brings the opening kick to the end zone for a touchdown, and he also said the 49ers were going to score 6 points, and they scored 6 points, which is also a crazy call. So, a lot of credit to Ryan there for that pick. But absolute dominance from Seattle. And, they made the 49ers look like a XFL team last week. Brock Purdy was held to a 54.6 quarterback rating, which is awful. He only threw for 140 yards. And they held Christian McCaffrey to 35 yards rushing on 11 attempts, which is absolutely outstanding. I think the Seahawks are the favorite to go win the Super Bowl. From the three other teams, I think Seattle is clearly the favorite to go on and win the Super Bowl this year. I think it's theirs to lose. They have the defense. They have the offense. They have the home crowd this week. I think is going to play a big factor up in Seattle, as it always does. And I think if Sam Darnold can limit turnovers and make a few big plays and do his job, he's not the best player on the football field. So it's really important for him to not make the big mistake in a big moment. Do your job, make completions, don't turn the ball over, and I think Seattle gets this game done. However, I'm going to go on a little bit of a limb here, and I'm going to take the Rams to beat Seattle in this game. Now, I called Rams-Bills in our playoff preview. I thought the Rams were going to beat the Seahawks in this game, and I know that is going to be in the minority of a lot of people's opinions, right? A lot of people have Seattle winning this game, but I'm going to go with the Rams just simply because I think they have a better roster on paper, and I trust Sean McVay in this game, and I trust Matt Stafford over Sam Darnold. Now, what we saw from Sam Darnold in the playoffs last year was not good. He completely blew the game for the Vikings last year against the Rams in the playoffs. And I think he definitely throws at least one interception. Hopefully, he can avoid a few fumbles. But something about this Rams team just I think they beat Seattle in this game. Obviously, what we've seen from the Seahawks has been absolutely fantastic. But Matt Stafford being the arguable MVP winner this year, I think he goes out there and puts on a legendary performance in this game. I think he throws for 303 touchdowns, maybe a couple to Puka, maybe one to Devontae Adams. But, winning that close game last week in Chicago, I think is a real confidence booster for this Rams team. I know they squeaked by they squeaked by the Panthers in the first round, and they squeaked by the Bears last week, which, honestly, you're a Caleb Williams interception away from losing that game. But I think they bounce back here. Don't get me wrong, this game is going to be very close. It's going to be very high scoring, and I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle ends up winning this game at home, which they're expected to do. But I'm going to trust the MVP winner in Matt Stafford over Sam Darnold. And I'm going to take the Rams to win this game 33-30. And I think he leads his team to the Super Bowl, and I ultimately think he does beat New England in the Super Bowl. I just think, their offensive firepower is absolutely outstanding. Guys like Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams, obviously Matt Stafford is unbelievable. But I do think Seattle gives them a great game, and I would not be mad with either team winning this game. I would love to see both of these teams in the Super Bowl. But ultimately, it's about the quarterback for me, and I trust Matt Stafford over Sam Darnold this week. I think this game provides a couple of huge plays, fireworks, crowd eruptions, all that. But ultimately, give me Matt Stafford and the Rams this week 33-30.
Okay, you're going fairly high scoring. I'm actually going to go the opposite. I think this is going to be a low scoring game. I always feel like division games, regardless of how bad or a good team is, they always end up being pretty close, right? Just because the teams really know each other. I think this game is probably going to be, I'm going to go 24-20. I'm choosing the Seahawks here. Only reason why I'm choosing the Seahawks really is because of their defense, right? Their defense is just incredible, especially that back end, right? They can generate a lot of pressure with just four, and then they cover really well. They play zone really well. They play man. They play everything really well, right? The special teams. I think the one thing that's going to separate these two teams is the special teams, right? Obviously, Rashid Shaheed, we know he's a really good punt returner. If I were the Rams, I'd try to punt this ball out of bounds every single time, right? Do not let it touch his hands, because if early in the game, you punt it and he takes it back, I feel like you've already lost the game, because that crowd is going to go crazy, and it's just going to be a really difficult game. Now, I was thinking a couple days ago, imagine telling somebody 5 years ago that Sam Darnold is going to be in the NFC Championship game as a starting quarterback, right?
Crazy.
I mean, to his credit, I know he didn't play that. I guess he didn't really put up the numbers, last week, but
He's the game manager.
you watch how he plays. Exactly. He's really good with kind of, having a pace for a game, really controlling everything, slowing everything down. And that's a really underrated aspect of him, Not everything you can look at a stat sheet and go, oh, like Sam Darnold only threw for 140 yards and he was garbage. No. I mean, you saw where his yards came from. They came on third downs. They came on big plays. When they needed him to throw the most, he was able to deliver. I think one question here is Zach Charbonnet is out for the season, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, I personally do think Kenneth Walker is the better running back.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, there was a lot of jokes this season with, Kenneth Walker getting it down to like the 5 and then Charbonnet running it. But, I think if the Rams really want to have a chance at winning this game, I think they win this game on special teams, because I think the offenses really match up well. I think the defenses really match up well. But I do think that the Seahawks have a considerably better special teams than the Rams do, and that can really be the X factor, because I mean, you look at all these games in the NFL, right? I mean, they've been coming down to like field goals, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just going back to the Packers game, I mean, they left 7 points on the board. They only lost by 4, and they were in field goal range in the last drive. So, I think kickers are a really important part of the NFL now. I mean, you look at the Jaguars and Cam Little. They get to the 50 and they're in his range, which is kind of crazy to think about. But, I think Matthew Stafford doesn't have that good of a game simply because of the pressure that the Seahawks are going to be able to generate. And obviously, as they're playing the Seahawks a third time. They're going to kind of know all his, plays or his audibles and things like that. I mean, same goes for Sam Darnold and stuff. But I think this is going to be a really gritty game. I think this is going to be really, really close. Like I said, 24-20. Would I be surprised if the Rams won? No. But I just think that this is the Seahawks' year, at least to make the Super Bowl. Now, I do think the Patriots match up fairly well, especially defensively. But, I mean, assuming the Patriots win, but I am going to go Seahawks 24-20, and I think that, or I actually would not be surprised if the Seahawks put up more than 24 points and the Rams put up less than 20, because I think the Seahawks are going to be able to generate like a lot of pressure this game, especially at home.
Yeah. So both of us have this game by one possession. I'm really hoping for a great game. I think on paper this game, considering what they did last time they played each other, that game was absolutely fantastic. So I'm hoping they can replicate some of that in this conference championship game. So what we're looking at here is, I think, not so great game in the Patriots game, and I think an outstanding game in the Rams game. So I'm hoping for two good games to watch as a fan. My official Super Bowl prediction is going to be Rams and Patriots. I'd like to hear yours, Yash.
I'm going to go, obviously, I went Seahawks and Patriots. I'm going to go Seahawks and Patriots. I do think the Patriots, actually, I'm going to be honest with myself. I don't think the Patriots beat the Seahawks, but, you never know what's going to happen. Like, it would be cinema if the Seahawks were at the 1 yard line and the Patriots stopped them. It would be like the best thing ever.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, but I do think the Seahawks probably crushed the Patriots, if I'm being completely
Wow,
honest.
you think they crushed them?
Crush as in like double digits.
Wow, all right.
But like, I gotta see how the Patriots play this week, because if they go in and they just stomp Denver, then I think, okay, we got a shot.
Yeah.
I think if the Patriots play the Rams, the Patriots have a much better shot at winning.
Oh, for sure. I agree.
So, yeah,
All right, guys, well,
I'm gonna go Seahawks Patriots. Early score, but I'm gonna go 34-20 Seahawks in the Super Bowl.
we'll definitely do a video on the Super Bowl, regardless of what the matchup is for you guys. But I'm looking forward to two great games this weekend. If you guys want to leave a comment down below or anything, feel free. We always reply to comments and everything. But we will see you guys in our next episode. See you.
All right, see ya.